Madison Chase, and I am on the set of the Next 15 with the beautiful, talented Claudia Jordan. Now, you do so much stuff. Let's just do a rundown of all the stuff you've done in the entertainment industry.
Well, I did radio, I was a model, a host, an actress, a producer. I worked in sports, a little bit of everything, and I kind of felt like you should probably throw a lot of things against the wall and see what sticks. And if I would have stuck with the first thing I did, I'd just be a model. And I'd be like a one-dimensional person in the entertainment business. So I'm glad I was able to try several different kind of areas and still work. And as you get older, you have to transition. You know, when you're younger, you could be a model, and you have to transition to television, and and you can't really kind of stay in one kind of genre.
Yes, I agree. Now let's talk about, you come from the Real Housewives of Atlanta and Dish Nation. So what was that experience like? Because I actually liked you on the show. I felt like you brought something completely different. The same way I feel about Kim Fields. Like, I feel like she's giving another dimension of what black women look like. So that's what I thought you brought to the show. What do you feel like you brought to that show that you're bringing to this show as well?
It's funny you say that about bringing something different when it comes to black women, and that's always been a concern of mine. I feel like a lot of times we're painted with the same brush constantly.
Yes.
We're either the angry black woman or the ratchet black woman. And I hope that you can see, especially with this show, that there's so many different shades of us. You know, we're not all this sassy kind of character. Oh, well, all of us are sassy, but it's not just the same persona. And you know, when I travel abroad and talk to people, and what they think of us based on reality television has not always been great.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of us that are educated, that vacation in France,
right?
That you know, that
speak multiple languages,
that eat duck instead of chicken, and
right.
That, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of different layers, and I feel like a lot of times those images of us are not necessarily pushed front and center. And then what happens is people that are not around a lot of black folks get a very narrow, skewed kind of interpretation of who we are. And I think we're just so much more than that. There's many shades of black. And we're not all this loud, obnoxious, angry person. Right. Which the mainstream media would love you to believe that's the case. You know what I mean? Especially now, the narrative, with what's going on in society, and how the whole Black Lives Matter, and how we're always perceived as a threat or a violent type of woman, species, I guess you'd say. And I feel like on this show, you're going to see me have to deal with a lot of situations where some folks might say, I would have smacked that bitch in the mouth. And on this show, you're going to see a lot of patience, and a lot of times I really even avoid even using the B word. And even though it's directed at me, maybe, I think I counted over 35 times.
Wow. And I think that's become a part of, I don't know if it's reality television or just this culture where we hear that word so commonly on a lot of reality shows. And I think when it comes to black women being painted in a certain light, I think it's, when you look at all reality television shows with all women, it seems to be very similar kind of things, but I think you're right. Black women tend to be pegged as loud, angry, this, all of the ratchetness, and I love that you brought something completely different to Real Housewives of Atlanta.
I tried.
Yeah, no, you did. You succeeded.
I think when you try to bring something different, you're always going to be met with some opposition. Whether it's she's boring, she's fake, I'm not feeling her, she's trying too hard. Yeah, you're right. I am trying. I am trying to put a different, more positive spin on the way we're seen. And if that means that I'm going to be called boring, then I'll bear that cross.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, to me, let's go back to the word bitch. To me, it's never been a compliment to be a bad bitch, a head bitch in charge, the baddest bitch, the richest bitch. That is not a compliment. At the end of the day, a bitch is a female dog.
Yes.
And I feel like we just give license and liberty to men to say it when we keep calling each other bitch. I don't call my friends and be like, hey bitch, I never thought that was cute.
I agree.
And I feel like, all right, you're sassy, we get it.
Right.
But I feel like it limits your vocabulary. Now, I definitely am a cusser. But what you're not going to see is me constantly refer to women as bitches. Now, do I get to a point where I use the word? I probably use it a couple times on the show after being having it directed at me so many times. And it's like when you keep on pushing, you're gonna get a little bit of that back. But I think I showed extreme patience for about 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And I just wish that I think now more than ever, and I don't mean to be preachy, but we gotta kind of get back to the spirit of kind of like, all right, man, this is a disagreement. We can probably see past this and move forward for the bigger picture, and like stop putting on a show for them.
Yeah.
And by them, I mean mainstream folks that love seeing us fight each other. We can have our moments because it's reality television.
Right.
We gotta have them.
Right.
But at some point, we gotta kind of get past that and like, okay, I may have called you a bitch, but as my sister, let's move forward on this project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we can have our disagreements, but let's resolve it and let's have some kind of like happy ending at the end.
Yeah.
And maybe my pageant background got me like wanting a happy ending and puppies to everybody. But that's just how I'm wired.
Yeah.
And I'll always be like that.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that you brought something different. I think who you are as a person was different.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were on this show where, you know, they typically paint us a certain kind of way, and so you're a different kind of woman. So you were different in that scenario. So let's talk about the Next 15 and who you are on this show and the stage in your life that you're in, because you've done so much in entertainment. What are you doing now on the Next 15?
One thing about this show, and you know, Carlos Kane was great at giving me a platform to show that on Housewives I couldn't really show my business side. And on this show, I'm absolutely showing, I don't really show much on my personal side. Really nothing. It's mostly, I'm putting together a talk show, I'm including the cast, you see my frustrations with trying to really make it happen. There's so much stuff that you didn't get to see. I spent my own money on a lot of things on the show, paying for craft services and booking guests and paying for the editing. That's not something that the show took care of. Like, we are actually being documented, actually really putting together a real show, a viable show that actually has interest now.
Yeah.
So people may think it's a pet project for a reality show and, you know, whatever. And I think some folks took it seriously, some folks didn't. But I took it and I saw it through to the end. So you're going to see me in a more of a leadership position, which I'm not going to lie, I had some difficulties with.
Really? Because I felt like on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, you were like trying to bridge the gap between the nonsense. And so you had a leadership role on that show as well.
But, okay. Maybe because I didn't start my career in reality. I started my career actually in a more professional kind of like being hired as a TV host, being hired as an actress, being hired as a model, where it's no one's really there to coddle me and to check on how I'm feeling. And like, if I don't like the photographer or I don't like the way he's speaking to me, that's not really an excuse to not work.
Yes.
I've been on sets with one of the biggest photographers in the world. I won't say his name, but we shot for Sports Illustrated and we were on the shoot for Sports Illustrated. Okay? And the way he spoke to us was like, all kinds of bitches and all kinds of words was thrown, and that's the way he operates. And I got emotional and I was like, I'm ready to go. But I ended up having to like buckle down, spoke to him, and then we worked it out. But in the entertainment business, there's a lot of egos, and you have to kind of like work with them.
Learn how to manage.
When you work with reality stars, a lot of them like came from nothing and got famous off of just acting up on camera. So I don't think they have the same appreciation as I do about being professional and how valuable that is. So like maybe on a show like this, like there's some resistance to like, I don't have to show up to that because I don't like her. Whereas in the real world, where I operate, I may not like who I'm working with, but you damn sure best believe I'm going to be there and I'm going to do my job. So there's some frustration with that. But at the end of the day, I am very, very proud that the mission was accomplished. And there's a finished product at the end. Despite all the landmines, and obstacles, and roadblocks, and hurdles, and resistance. And I figure if I can get something done under these circumstances and with the reality cameras rolling and reality stars and the temperaments and the egos and all kinds of things, imagine if I'm like out in the real world. I have a newfound confidence that I can actually produce and get some things done.
Yeah, now speaking of producing, I talked to Karamo and he told me about the new show that you guys are doing within this reality show, which sounds like an incredible idea to incorporate what people are really interested in, like being able to comment and have a voice. So now that you're introducing a new kind of platform, like how does that make you feel? Are you solidified in your new role as being a leader, not just for the show, but for entertainment, period? Because I feel like the show is groundbreaking and your show is even more groundbreaking.
I feel very proud because honestly, I doubted myself. I mean, when you say, yeah, I want to produce a show, I think a lot of people say they want to produce. I want to be executive producer. I want to do this. I want to do that. But to actually get it done and to have to deal with the intricate things like the lighting, the sound, the wardrobe, the cast, the content, the cue cards, the craft services, the guests, things that happen, and trying to do damage control on the spot, and then having the pressure of cameras rolling. I feel really proud, and we have created a project where there is no show like it on the air, and it's taking into account like how popular social media is, how everybody wants their voices heard.
Yes.
And I feel like with reality stars, we're very outspoken. So the idea of having reality stars on a talk show, I thought was kind of genius. And I wanted to have those strong opinions that we see on their reality shows on a talk show. And some cooperate, some don't. And it's pretty much on them because like there's a lot of other, I've spoken to some other reality stars that are, when I presented the idea, they were like, absolutely, hell yeah, like it's a great platform. And we're proud, definitely proud of it.
Yeah, and I'm proud. I'm so glad that you are giving the world a new view of what Black women look like. So thank you. Thank you from me to you. Thank you, and hopefully from everybody else that's watching. And we want to keep up with you on all your social media. So where can we find you?
After today, you're gonna find me on vacation somewhere. It's been very stressful. But in the meantime, I just got on Snapchat the other day. I'm like the last person on Snapchat.
Wait, no, you're not.
Oh, you're not on
Yeah,
Snapchat?
I mean, I am on Snapchat, but I barely snap. Barely.
Really?
Yeah, barely.
Okay. Well, Instagram and Twitter, it's all at Claudia Jordan.